afternoon, evening, however you want to call it, everybody. The time is 6:11 p.m., Thursday, June 29th, 2023. This is a special commission meeting. It has a short agenda. We are looking at potential rehire of the Public Works Director in the Public Works Director position of Rick Mullen, and a second agenda item is the addendum to the contract of the city administrator, or the amendment to the contract of the city administrator. So the first thing we'll be discussing is the Public Works Director position, and I will I'm just going to take the privilege of the chair and deliver my 2 cents worth right off the bat. While I was the last regularly scheduled commission meeting was when the vote was taken. I was not here. The vote was taken to rehire the Public Works Director, but none of the details were worked out at that meeting. Came back and we had a special meeting and decided to call this meeting for the purpose of finalizing this. So this was scheduled, the last special meeting. I think many of you were here for that. It was quite interesting. But I appreciated the fact that we got through all of that. Everybody got to speak their mind. And I did not say very much at that meeting. I let that play out the way it played out. Y'all were here. I let y'all speak your mind, listen to you very carefully as to everything you said. But I didn't put in very much of my 2 cents worth. So that's what I'm going to do right now. Administration has been kind of my thing in life. At 16, I had a staff of 13 working under me, and it was the family business. I'm not bragging. I didn't really want to do it, but it was in the family business. Yeah, I had to do it. This is what you're going to do. So I started early working on administration. I had hundreds and hundreds of people working for me over the years, thousands over time. So I know a lot about administration. I'm not saying I'm perfect. I'm not saying I'm any great fond of knowledge, but the experience I have is largely in administration. One of the things that I kind of started out with, probably at my father's instruction, but I definitely stuck with it over the years because it always worked, is when somebody comes in and has had enough and they hand you your resignation, you accept it. Generally speaking, when things have gotten to that point, they're irreparable. Sometimes you say, hey, look, can we work out a notice? Can we do this? Can we do that? But basically, when it's soured to that point, when somebody hands me a resignation, I accept it. That has stood me in good stead over the years. And that happened here. Rick Mullen handed it, he retired it. It was right before I became mayor. I didn't have an opportunity an opportunity to talk to him about that. My first meeting, he was not the Public Works Director. So he's never worked under me as mayor as Public Works Director. It was a done deal. The City Commission's job is to fill the positions within the city, and we, the Commission, have not done that. We've brought names to the table, and they've been dismissed. I think that is a failing of this Commission under my leadership. I'll take full responsibility for that ultimately. The city, though, is basically unchanged in these last 2 years. In the last 50 years, we're a very stable city. What we have here hasn't changed much at all. And the reason I'm saying that is the position of Public Works Director, the demands on that position have not changed much at all. We've got some things coming down the pike that are going to be significant with the water system improvements totaling around $6 million. That's going to be some major work coming down in Public Works. But the basic layout of this city hasn't changed. We've got a commission, we've got a city administrator who is responsible for supervision of all the employees of the city. That hasn't changed, and I'll go with the old Einstein quote: doing the same thing and expecting different results is almost the definition of insanity. So I think it's unwise for us to rehire Mr. Mullen in this position. We've had a couple of conversations, and there's pros and cons. I'm not saying he's evil. He worked here forever and did a lot of good hard work for this city. I'm not saying anything bad about Mr. Mullen. I'm saying it didn't work, and I don't think it's going to work again.
Worked for a long time.
I do understand that he has assured me he has done some, for lack of a better word, soul searching. I'm not even sure if he used that word, but he's looked at things and personally at how things have gone, and it feels like he can change and has made changes in himself that'll make a difference. Again, just management is an art, not a science in many ways. I don't see it being a good fit still. When he retired, it left the city in a lurch. We had been really hurting for a while. That's not all on him, but part of it is. Where, exactly which parts, don't need to go into too many details on that, but a lot of it would lie lie on his shoulders, if you will. I think that one of the things he said to me was he felt like he was forced out. And I'm just addressing things that we discussed, that I've discussed with the staff, that I've discussed with Mr. Mullen. He felt like he was forced out when that happened. And I get the tensions were high and the emotions were high, but the reality is that I don't have any documentation of any series of write-ups that were, just bashing him until they finally terminated him. It wasn't a force out like that. I also don't have and did not see any times where he brought to the city commission, look, this is what's going on. It's a big mess. I'm getting railroaded here. I'm appealing to you for help, which I think is basically the only vehicle within this city. If you look at the chain of command, we're the only place up from the city administrator. He may have appealed to the city administrator. I know there were discussions there, but there weren't any significant appeals to the commission as a whole. I know there were conversations with individual commissioners as well, there should be. But I wasn't a commissioner then, so I wasn't a party to them. I don't know the details, but I don't think that the forced out argument just doesn't carry much weight with me. I'm just addressing one thing at a time. I'm sorry it felt that way, but as far as any particular weight of evidence, I don't see that. Another thing, completely flip-flopping in direction here, but one of the things that has been said many times is that having somebody in the position with a water license, a C license, I believe, saves the city a lot of money over what having U.S. Water come in and do those services. Looking at the numbers, doesn't really weigh out that way. I had the staff do a quick add up of what we spent over the last year. It's been about a year now that we've had U.S. Water. What we spent above and beyond the base contract, but what we spent for repairs, which is what we're talking about. That's where the variance is. We've spent 70 some odd thousand on US water. Sounds like a whole lot. Sounds like a whole lot, but by the time you add in costs, the additional costs of the public works director and staff that has to do that, you've spent $70,000 on staff real quick.
But not even all the problems with it.
Pardon that, I'm sorry, I can't have a conversation with 40 people. I understand I would be in the same position wanting to say stuff, but it just can't work that way. I will open the floor up to public discussion and give people a chance, but I just can't do it back and forth all the time. I just can't. It does, the numbers, from a management standpoint, the way I've looked at it, it's at best a wash. I think we actually save money by having US water do those things. Numbers don't lie. That's funny. Another thing that weighs into my decision making and the way I look at things is how people approach these situations. One thing we're seeing right now that I've always greatly not appreciated, and I don't lay this all on Mr. Mullen, but it's the way it's working out consistently, is when people develop coalitions and try and bring pressure to bear to make their point or to hold somebody over barrel. You know, ultimatums and those kind of things just don't work well for me. I believe in, okay, here's what I bring to the table, here's my weaknesses. Those kind of things work. It's not what everybody, everybody loves me and I can make a big stink if I don't get my way. Doesn't really work well for me. And I've had that happen, not just here, I've had that happen in other places too, and it has never worked well. And I've battled that before, personally, and it didn't work out. So you just end up in another place, another 6 months down the road, you're doing the same thing again. When you allow that sort of behavior to carry today, you get more of that behavior. So that's one of the things that I would weigh in to how I made this decision. Another thing that I weigh in to whether or not this decision is good is what Mr. Mullen has asked for in remuneration. It's not what he would be, it's significantly more than he would be up to now under a regular wage increase. And basically because of his retirement from FRS, he's also asking that we kind of make him whole in where he took a hit in that process. And he believes, I shouldn't say it that way because he didn't say it this way. It appears that he believes the city should make him whole. And as far as his ultimate retirement plan that he had for his career. And he feels like the city kind of owes that. Again, I shouldn't say that. He didn't say it this way. By what he's asked for, it would be the result would be the city making him whole in that retirement plan as if he never had retired early and gone through all of this. I don't think the city owes him that. I don't think the city owes anybody much of anything other than the contract that they're working for. We'll get there. But to me, another thing that doesn't seem to be appropriate. Another shift in where I'm going. When I first became mayor, everything we did at commission meetings was water, water, water. People upset about their water quality, their water issues. We dealt with water a lot. At all the commission meetings and day to day in the city. The water system has always been problematic, again, I don't lay all of that at his feet. We certainly, you know, water systems always have issues, but it's not like we had a city that was running like a top. Again, doing the same thing, expecting different results, that kind of plays in right there. After 18 months of U.S. water, I don't hear nearly as much about water problems. We still have issues. I drove past a geyser on my way here today. You know, things break. It's an old system. Like I said, don't lay it all on his feet or shoulders. It's an old system. But things have continued to function with the way we have it now. This is not the only option for us. I do not support rehiring Mr. Mullen in this position. Yeah, I'm allowed to say it 100 if I want. I wanted to be clear about the basic reasons. I haven't dug into a lot of the details of some of the things that have some accusations that have been made to me and whatnot. I don't like to sound cryptic, but there's, you know, where there's smoke, there's fire kind of way. There have been other issues as well. The frustration level within staff and the morale level within staff are strained, and I think there will be more strained if we do this hire. I think that's just
What's that?
what I'm seeing. It's all, well, anyway.
Your staff left. They left.
I'm sorry, I'm not asking for
Just
a
saying.
dialogue. Those are the reasons in general, without diving into the specifics, that I really do not support this rehire. I do not think it's the best idea for the city. I think we're taking 2 steps back and expecting different results, and we're not going to do it. I don't think it's a lack of desire. I think it's just putting the same person in the same position. They're going to perform about the same way. It's another great maxim. A maxim in life is past performance is your best indicator for future performance. That's what that person can do. Yes, it does. It does. The vote was taken, however, to rehire. Y'all did that. Now's the point where we come to the details of that. Do you want to make a motion to hire and move forward with this? And that would need to be fleshed out. So I'll turn it over to the commission. Anybody wants to speak? Any commissioners want to speak? We're going to start there. The floor is open, commissioners. Mr. Eckert.
We already voted to hire, so we don't need to retake that vote.
Amen.
The meeting today is to figure out what conditions and everything he's coming back under.
I think I started
Anyway,
there.
on your statement, you made quite a few prospective accusations and stuff, and
Oh,
you
I've never heard that from any other commissioners.
and you attempted to correct yourself a number of times because you were trying to put words in his proverbial mouth and what he was saying and stuff like that. So I understand you do not like him. You never
That's
have.
not true.
You weren't here when he was, or you were a commissioner when he was working here and did a great job, and there was no complaints from you about him back then. And then he was terminated and you became mayor, and then all of a sudden you have problems with him and everything else. And you talk about how he left and you can't figure out why, based on his reasonings that he felt like he was forced out. Well, there's management styles that people use that intimidate people so much that they have to make a choice on what is going to be best for them and their families to be able to go on with life. And when your future gets intimidated and possibly threatened, depending on, there's only two people that really know what occurred that I know of, and that's Lee Evett and Rick Mullen. But if that, and based on my training in leadership styles and everything, I can feel that the way that intimidation is used can get very forceful on people and having them to make a decision. And that's what Rick did. He made the decision that was best at that time. And being forced out in that type of situation shows poor management style. And now you talked about the cost of what the water company and everything did in the past 18 months or the past year, but you didn't include the request for the total cost on what it is, because you also have to add in what man hours cost there was involved in it, what man hours from the city standing by waiting for them to show up it cost, and everything part of it that went into the cost of them coming in. And that was a heck of a lot higher than $70,000.
I'm just not.
And you talked about his past performance shows what he's going to do. How the heck do you know what his past performance was when you didn't do it when you were a commissioner and you didn't observe it when you were a citizen? Instead, you sit there and you say that the city hasn't changed. I know most of these people don't have their heads buried in the sand and they see what's going on. The city has changed in the last 50 years. What's going on in your city, if you want to represent us the proper way that you should be representing us, we should be hired back. And he should be repaid for whatever the cost and everything it cost him because of him leaving in the manner that he had to leave. Amen.
Thank you.
And it don't take me 20 hours to be able to say that. I said it a lot shorter than what it took you to say.
Okay, just a couple of things. I won't detail everything, but like I said, I only had a certain amount of information to go on as to why he left, when he left. I talked to the city administrator, I talked to previous mayors, I talked to, I can't talk to other commissioners obviously, and didn't, but I was just going on the information that I had and could get. Good information, best I could get. And yeah, it's always a he said thing. Everything always comes down to that. I can't deny that. That's why I'm saying art's more management's more of an art than a science. You're weighing out the credibility of the sides and whose perspective is the most accurate. Usually they're overlapping and diametrically opposed at the same time, and you just got to weigh that out. That's life. So yeah, I came down more on the side of that I explained, and you came down more on the side you explained. Costs, I didn't do an in-depth cost study. Yeah, you didn't either. I mean, you're just saying that I didn't, so I'm all wrong. I'm saying I got the bottom lines and fleshed it out a little bit.
Look for than what you said you look for.
Maybe so. But I've been, as I said, doing management budgets for a long time. I got some key information and looked at it and weighed it out, and I'm saying that I don't believe the savings to the city have been as dramatic as we have been told they are. Again, that's not, I don't think that information that was told to us was trying to be misleading. I think it's just a misunderstanding of what true costs are and how do you find that. It's not a lack of integrity of where those numbers came from. It's just a different way of looking at it. Again, you said it's obvious I don't like Mr. Mullen. That is not true. I like Rick. I do. He's a nice guy. He's a good guy. He worked here for a long time. You say I didn't have any problems with him. You're right. I didn't have any problems with him. We're not supervising individual employees from a commission level. Wasn't back then either. That wasn't our job. We overview the city. We look at it. We kind of watch how things are going. But yeah, I never came up. I never developed a dislike for him. I don't dislike him now. That is not the point of this. That's why I didn't couch it that way. I am not trying to make this, he's a bad guy. I'm saying it doesn't fit well. Well, apparently it has. The changes in the city, I'm saying the basic structure of the city hasn't changed much. The basic structure of the city. Now, we could argue that, you know, in 50 years, we got a commission and staff. You know, I mean, it hadn't changed that much. So I don't know how that really plays in too much. What I'm saying is the basic structure of the job that he'll be coming back to in 2 years' time since he left, or 18 months now, whatever it is. There hadn't been a lot of changes in those 18 months as to where this is going to be. So we're asking him to come back to basically the exact same position and expecting different results. Again, back to that Einstein.
50 years ago,
Yeah, okay, I'll grant you that. I'll grant you that. I'll grant you that. My main point was not that. I don't know why I said the 50 years. I shouldn't have. I didn't mean to couch it. What I meant to say was in 18 months since he left to now, it hasn't changed. Now we are, I will say very clearly, this is a big change. We also, okay, y'all also voted to, that's only fair, to end the employment of the city current city administrator. So that is going to be a big change. It might make all the difference in the world. I don't know that it will. The city administrator has certain things that they're responsible for, and I think the new administrator, whoever we end up with, will have those same things that they're responsible for. I don't know if it's going to work out the same. Maybe it was just personality, maybe it wasn't. I have a feeling it could still be a lot of the same issues. Again, just a feeling. You know, I can't make it any more than that. I know there was a personality conflict here. Can't deny that, but I never tried to deny that. So that's where I was going with the changes. And I shouldn't have ever said 50 years. I'm just saying that, you know, we're a mature city, and we're not changing radically day by day. We're not in Deltona where things are just really new and everything's in flux. That's not where we are. That's what I meant by that. So if I misstated that, my apologies. You're right. Commission did vote. I said my piece. I told Mr. Mullins that that's what I was going to do, that I had to tell y'all what I believe. And I think that's my job as an elected official. I think it's y'all's jobs too, and you've done it. I mean, Roger, you spoke your piece too. I get that. So I'm saying what I believe. When I ran for office, one of the things I said, I've got a lot of years of administration under my belt. That's one of the things I bring to the table. So as years of administrator, I'm telling you what I see, laying it out there. I think that's what I owe the city. as an elected official, I owe them communication as to why I'm suggesting what I'm suggesting. What I've told Mr. Mullen, what I'll tell y'all, I'm not going to, meeting after meeting, bring up, I'm never going to say I told you so. I'm never going to say, meeting after meeting, see. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to speak right now, tell you where I am, and then if we decide to hire him and we work it all out, I'll be his number one supporter in many ways. I'm not going to undermine him because I didn't think it was a good idea. I don't do that. I'll try my best to help him succeed. And so I want to lay that out there too. I'm not going to be a backstabber of him in any way, shape, or form. He doesn't deserve it. No position in the city deserves that. I wouldn't do that to any position. I would say, if it didn't work out, if something radically changed, I'd have to bring that forward. But I'm not going to just day after day beat you out and stuff. Turn it back over to y'all. Anybody else wants to
I'd like to say something. A lot of things in this town have not changed and never will change, because if somebody dare have a difference of opinion or ask a question, then everybody in this town seems to take it as a personal attack. I know that for a fact because I get attacked on a regular basis, although everybody that voted for me knew I was just going to say it like it is, because that's how I am. And for you to attack him for how long it took him to say anything, he's trying to get his thoughts together and speak it. Why does he have to be attacked? Because he has a difference of opinion. It's his opinion, he's entitled to it. He wanted to speak his mind, give the man time to speak his mind. The whole room in here is attacking him from the back. And like I said, at that last meeting, I got attacked and got into 3 shouting matches with citizens because I dared to ask a freaking question. But I'm going to ask them questions, and y'all can know what you can do about it if you don't like it. So don't be attacking people just because they have a difference of opinion or ask a question.
I didn't attack because he has a difference of opinion. I was talking about how long he took because of how much he ran on.
It doesn't matter. It's
patting
his
himself
time.
on the back saying how great of an administrator he is.
Maybe he is. You don't know what he is.
Okay. Either of the other commissioners want to weigh in? Don't have to.
My turn, or you want to go?
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Maybe 20 months ago, some of the things that you've said in there, being a business owner, I hardly agree with. When I have a supervisor that comes and hands his papers in, so I gotta go, I can't take it anymore. I let them go. And I'm seriously concerned about ever bringing them back again, because you left me in a bind. And that was one of the biggest reasons initially I didn't want to invite Rick back. I've had an opportunity to talk to him. I think he's learned from those lessons. He's assured me he would never do that again, because I assured him if he ever did that again, I'd make sure that he never got hired in this city again. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think he's learned. I can also honestly tell you that if Becky Whitty was still sitting in that chair, he would have never left. So I'm all about fun facts and what's real. And I think it's admirable for you to say all the things that you said in the face of a huge opposition. It takes courage to do that, and I'm proud of you for doing it. But I also believe in 20 months, we made it clear to our administrator we wanted to hire a new public works director. Now, I'm not going to say it's all his fault. I'll wear some of it myself. I could have called him up every day and said, where are you at, where are you at, where are you at? But we're still here 20 months later.
He has brought us, and I'll only interrupt you for a second, but we've had numerous applications before us, and they have been shot down by this commission. Not because there weren't qualified applicants.
This is true. And once again, you're entitled to your opinion. That's why there's 5 of us here. So that decision. All I'm gonna say is, we're 20 months later and we still don't have someone. Now, we have someone who's got a toolbox, who knows a tremendous amount about the city. He has public support. And this city cannot continue to run without that position filled.
Exactly.
We've also made a decision to terminate our contract with the city administrator, which, like it or not, is going to happen. So we are going to be sitting here without a city administrator, without a public works director, and who's going to operate the city? Now, sometimes your attorney will come to you after deliberating over a situation and say, I got 3 answers for you, and you're not going to like any of them. So I think we're at a choice today to be able to accept one of those answers that we don't like. And try to look at this to do what's best for the city today. Maybe it's not the best thing for the city 5 years from now, but it's certainly the best thing for the city today. And so I would like to discuss salary and compensation package and bring Mr. Mullins on and put him to work and let the rest of the pieces fall where they lie. Because here's another fun fact. If the city administrator and the public works director do not work together for the next 4 months while they're both here together, then shame on them. Shame on them, because now they're putting their own personal interest in front of what's best for the city. Now, I've spent most of my time right here trying to make the best decision I could for the city. Not for me, not for any particular person, but for all of us. And at this juncture, I feel like this is the best, the worst choices we have. That's it.
Did you want to weigh in? No.
You know, I have some thoughts on what you said, but I don't think it would be appropriate to go line by line about how we have a difference of opinion. We definitely have a difference of opinion on this. I have had the pleasure of having a conversation with Mr. Mullen on several occasions, and I am of the mind that he has learned his lesson, as you said, and he is motivated and energized and ready to go and has a plan. He's proud of this town. He's been here a long time. He has 25 years almost track record showing that he's willing to get in the ditches and work on those things. He's come out overnight. He's brought up the morale of the staff. He's held barbecues and whatnot for the city. He's paid his dues and also more than funded himself by the value he's brought to building that public works building that's out there that's state-of-the-art, gorgeous. I mean, that's a $1 million building that we got for next to nothing. So there's a ton of added value to bringing Mr. Mullen back on and the networking that he can do for us. There's a lot of value in the fact that he has legacy knowledge. There's a lot of value in the fact that he has those connections. So for all of those reasons, I am ecstatic to bring him back. And I am looking forward to discussing the terms and conditions of his employment.
Appreciate that, and I appreciate all of y'all and what y'all have said. The differences of opinion, I can live with, absolutely. And again, I'm not going to be a backbiter or a naysayer, so this may not be going my way, but I'm not gonna beat anybody up in the future about any of this. I'm certainly not going to beat him up. I want we bring him on. I want him to succeed, absolutely, and I will do everything while I'm there to make that happen. But I can't do it without saying what I believe. The next step then would be, where do we want to land? How much salary do we want to do?
I don't have a copy of his,
That's what I was trying to do.
That's just my recommendation. His request.
Here's the, right here. I could read it out if you want to write
Ricky, can you start tonight? There's 2 water leaks in town.
You'll have to wait 3 weeks to get to it.
Okay, I'll introduce this. I could, we've had kind of a long pause, so I understand people starting conversations, I get that. But let's get back to the table here. I'll introduce this by saying that if Mr. Mullen had stayed with the city, his salary today would be would be right at $85,000. With raises that he would have gotten, raises that happened across the city, some across the city bumps, also the regular 5%, whatever cost of living increases, he would be at $85,000. He has requested $95,000. I think, and this city administrator and I talked about this, 85 seems reasonable, but that's where we are. Motions need to come from individual commissioners. I'll turn it over to you.
Did we have, I think Lee said he had staff recommendation, is that all of it? That's the only change?
No, there's, I gave a recommendation each of 4.
Okay, so we're gonna go line for line.
Yeah,
Okay.
sure, of course. Yeah, and we can discuss each thing and then make one motion for the whole package, or we could do individual motions for each part of this. It could work either way. I would think going through it all, making notes and having one motion that covered each item that after we had discussed it, wherever we landed. The salary would be X, the vacation, some of that vacation stuff and PTO and stuff like that.
I would recommend that the city have an employment agreement with Ricky. It sounds like in terms of conditions, I'm talking about retirement, where we can handle that. That will be different than what our personnel policies say, right? Because we need to set it out. And an employment agreement is a little deviating from what we normally do for in terms of benefits and salaries.
Okay,
It's an employment agreement.
that makes perfect sense to me, but that means we won't be able to finalize it in this meeting, right?
Well, you can approve the terms and conditions of it, and then we'll bring the agreement back for ratification. Or
Okay.
they can authorize you to sign, the agreement, so
Okay,
the city attorney
okay,
approves.
that works. I didn't want you to have to wait until the 13th.
But it's just, I'm just saying, instead of hiring somebody and applying
It
for
is
personnel
different, I
rules.
get that, it's different, yeah.
May I interject since?
Yes, you may, sir.
Scott and I have talked. The only thing we have going on here is retirement. It's the only problem we have to figure out. Nothing else other than what you did here tonight. The retirement's the only thing. I've spoke with FRS a little bit. I've done research. Once you're on FRS or retired, you can never go back on FRS. But when Lee was on it, you guys have had a big problem, but he's also a senior management person. They hold that slot. I'm a regular base person, and they changed a bunch of laws last year. So I don't see it's going to be a problem at all, but obviously Scott needs to find out. And we can cross that bridge anytime to figure that out.
Well, I appreciate that, and I appreciate where that's come from, I do. We want to get it as close as we can first try.
The only reason I say is, the retirement's one issue. I heard things about personal time, leave time needs to be, if we're gonna make adjustments to leave time, then what our current personnel policies say, it's better to just do that in an agreement.
Again, no offense, you guys did it in a meeting before for Austin Casura and other people, you gave it right back in the meeting and gave them including their FRS back like they never left. So I disagree with that.
Well, but we, that's what he's saying, is just that we write it down, get it in writing. So
I don't even know what he was talking about. So.
when I do, but it's okay. It's just a what about kind of thing. And and that's okay. What I mean is that it's anecdotal.
Let me rephrase it this way.
That's a good way to say it. Let's do it the right way this time.
Let's do it the right way. I have a question for Rick. How much money were you putting into retirement annually?
I don't know, it was done by the city, that's all we had. We had to put in 3% or whatever it was.
So you don't know how much it cost?
No, sir, I don't.
13%.
For what the city
The city matched with 13%.
The city puts in 13.7, the employee puts in 3.
Jeez.
So,
I got a question. What was the criteria you used to figure out that his performed with an 85?
What other departments put in the sheets that shows out the capacity? And Craig's employees, software.
Okay, last year was 10,000, and what was it prior to that?
It was a percentage of employment. So people would be making 85 to
I'm sorry.
That's the one that they did.
It's double signature.
That's the one they did with parties as well.
I have one more question, Rick. You're recommending that all benefits that I had when I left previous work, the amount when I left 5 weeks vacation time is one of the benefits, or what are the additional benefits?
That's, we had the time I had lost that I couldn't get paid for, but I don't care about that, that can go away. I thought more about that, and I don't care, but I should get my 5 weeks.
Okay.
Because I've been there so long, whether I'm starting back or not, I still have the time in, and they did do that for Austin Casser and a couple other
Yeah, I got no problem with
employees.
that. That makes sense.
You know, and that's what I'm asking, to be put back that way. I wasn't asking to give me all my retirement back that I've been gone. It can't happen. I'm just asking for this way forward, give me some kind of retirement I can have, other than that, because it's part of the benefit package.
All right, I'm ready to make a motion.
I have a question, if you don't mind, before we do that.
Not at all.
I just was curious about the no probationary period.
Yes.
I hadn't asked you about that. Is there a reason for that?
I think 25 years has been my probation. I really feel.
I just didn't know if like, there was
I really feel I've done
something
I've paid my dues.
Right,
I mean,
right.
my family's been with me the whole time. My whole family's been jumping in this thing. Everybody comes out. I mean, I did my dues many, many times over at 2 o'clock in the morning, water holes and here and there. I don't think I should have to do that again.
I just wanted to make sure it wasn't hidden something that.
And I do see on there, because I did take a quick glance at it, Lee has put in there no cell phone. How can I operate with no cell phone? Okay? I'm not using my personal phone. I'm not doing that again. I'm not doing that ever. I don't want to. I understand we had problems with phones before, and I've asked you to put just the auto dialer that can text to me, and that's it. And then I have a number, and I have the auto dialer so I can respond to that, because I will be taking water back over and taking care of it.
Yeah, because if there's a problem with the well will call his.
No, I understand. And cell phones, the city administrator put that on the list of things that we needed to iron out. But it's not exactly a condition of employment, I don't think. It's something that's more of a, how we handle, how we handle communication within the city. We can iron it out now, but, we had issues with the cell phone. And we don't wanna hit the same thing.
And the issues we had was nobody knew that text messages had to be recorded all the
I
time.
understand that. I
So
understand.
how can you say anything
I
about that?
understand. Things grew over time.
We have no idea.
We now we are where we are now, though, and cell phone usage, doesn't matter whether you're using a personal phone, it doesn't matter whether you're using a city phone. It's the nature of the communication that makes it a public record. You can use it on, it can be a scrap of paper, your own phone,
And that's why I don't want my phone involved in city business.
But it's the nature of the communication that makes it a public record. And that, we just have to do some education on that and make sure we're following it right. That's the, well, ultimately it would come down from the city attorney, but also as the clerk.
It's more complex than that.
It is more complex than that, I agree, but.
Even if he has a city phone and he has a personal phone, any messages on his personal phone are still public record.
Right.
Only if they're.
City related business.
And this number, if anybody calls me or does anything, I will tell them this is not a city phone.
That's
I have a city phone number, please use that.
That's right.
That's a simple thing to say, easy to say, and if I do happen to get one on it, it all depends on what it's about.
Just have to record and turn it in, that's all.
That's all.
There's no phone calls, really, it's text messages.
Yes, and that's why, if we ever got back to phone, which I think was another thing if I ever get back on, you eliminate text messaging on all guys' phones. It's nice to have them when you gotta get a hold of them. But
The cheapest phone is not everybody.
It was one of the things that was a problem at the time when you left, and so that was why it was a note on that thing. We just gotta follow the law. I know you don't have any problem with that. Nobody has any problem with that. We all wanna follow the law. It's just, we gotta do it right. That's all that note was about. It wasn't anything more than that.
Can I make a motion?
Excuse me, Mayor, just 1 second.
I'm gonna open
Very
up the.
important, very important.
Okay.
That man down there had a phone that controlled the wells and everything else. And let me tell you something, I've been with him when he had problems with the wells, and he had it so that he could control the well if there was something broke and get it fixed. I think that should be put in here somehow.
Oh, he's gotta have appropriate tools to do his job. I understand.
Okay, that's all I just want to give before we went to answer.
And we do understand that. Commissioner Haskell?
Yes. I'd like to make a motion that the already hired public works director be finished. May I, please? Go ahead, Rick. We'll have an annual salary of $90,000 a year. 13% of that $90,000 will put into a retirement fund. We'll work out the details on it. He will also be eligible for a COLA adjustment in October. He will be given 5 weeks of vacation pay. And he will also be provided a city cell phone for well-known. I omitted on purpose remaining time, lost vacation, PTO. I think that when we make mistakes in life, and Rick can agree, probably made a little one, there should be a price for it, and that's your price. But that's my motion.
Could you go back to what you said right after the 13%? I missed
Be
it.
put into a retirement fund, because it can't be that they will determine whether it's a,
Well, what do you have a motion, probably proper to second, that we can discuss it.
yes.
I'll second for discussion.
The retirement thing that I talked about with Rick, is if, Rick could go back into FRS, there would be a contribution rate that we would pay. And sometimes what you do, especially with managers, administrators, instead of paying what would go into FRS, you pay that into a defined contribution self-retirement plan. The issue that we ran into with Lee is the city, the FRS said because Lee was filling, even though he had retired, not to go back and participate, that Lee would, the city had to pay a certain percentage to the state because he was occupying an FRS position. And there was a percentage that was calculated every year that they still wanted, and there was a total contribution. And what we can do is say, we would pay into that retirement plan the difference between what the total contribution is and what anything FRS says we have to still pay to FRS because Ricky is filling an FRS position, even though he can't go back and enjoyment. That could be zero, that's what they dropped everything with Lee. And so it could end up being more than 13%. I don't know what the contribution rate is for regular employees right now, but I want to at least advise the city if you want to be in that situation. If you agree to give them 13%, and FRS says, well, you got to pay us 15%, you're paying 28%. So that's just the thing I want to make sure you don't get into that situation. And the better way, the way it's typically handled, what I told Rick was, we'll just have an agreement that says, we'll put into your FRS, or into your private retirement, a contribution equal to what the total contribution would be if you were participating in the FRS, less what the FRS says we have to pay. And it's always less because it's a portion of the total requirement.
Are you okay with that verbiage, Rick? Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it could be more than 13, it could be less, I don't know. 'Cause it's
I
gonna
would like
change.
to amend my motion to say what you just said.
Then you get nothing.
Yeah, that is one thing, my wife
If
is
it's
right.
more than 13%, he's getting
But
nothing.
it's not gonna be more than 13% because what the FRS asked us to pay was a portion of the total contribution.
But I call FRS and I'm on FRS, and FRS states upper management positions have to be held like that, but regular class
Well,
positions,
then you should
which
be
is
more than
what,
happy to take this to offer on
what is Ricky is, but the city doesn't have to pay for a regular class for anything to hold that position. That is just the high class, upper
No.
class management.
Trust me, it'll work out. What I'm saying is.
But if
what-
it's 13%, if you're saying 13% and FRS says you have to pay 10% back to them,
Mhm.
he's only getting 3%.
Exactly.
I'm okay with that.
Yes,
We'll figure it out.
I know.
We'll figure it out.
It should not come out of his pay, it should come out of the city's contribution, not out of this.
No, it's not gonna come out of space. How much in addition to his pay
Well-
will you put into retirement?
When Rick made his thing, it was the 13% would come out of his.
No. It would be 13% up.
Yeah, you said that, I caught that too. The way you said it, would be paid 90,000, and out of that would come the 13%. And
The
that's the
city's
way you said it.
contribution would go into a.
I think it's over above the 90.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I understood.
Okay. Well, that isn't the way you said it, I caught that same thing.
Oh, yeah.
And
Otherwise, it's really, he's making a 13% contribution.
right, and that's the way you said it, I was gonna bring it up in discussion.
He can do his own. He can contribute as much as he wants.
Add.
Yeah. This is over and above whatever salary you have. Just so we're clear, what I'm proposing is whatever the city would pay if Ricky participated in that position he has, in FRS, whatever that contribution rate is for that year, we will then instead put it into a private pension, less whatever the state says we have to contribute. And it may be nothing, we need to get it cleared up before we start this. We'll go through all the paperwork and just say, what do we gotta do? And so we'll have something in writing from them, because I can tell you, when you talk to FRS, every time you talk to FRS, you will get a difference. There's no question.
I concur to that.
So what we want from them is a representation, at least we can say, this other person said this is what we're doing. So I just don't want to have a situation that we got into with Lee. I don't know that the FRS is just going to drop everything and go away. And if it doesn't,
So that's an unknown.
at this point in time, it's an unknown retirement, but the intent is it will cost the city no more than if Ricky fully participated in FRS.
Right.
It will cost the city the same.
Right.
And how much of the benefit he gets will depend on how much the FRS says we have to pay, even though he's not participating.
He's not intending.
Yes, I understand why.
So we have a motion and a second to a salary rate of 90,000 with a 13% match, with the difference being how much that we have to pay to FRS. No, it's part of that. That
In the first sentence.
Adding the tax on everything.
As you said, it could be 13%.
No, he said 13%.
Yeah, leave that.
Leave that out, okay, so we have a motion then that says pay of $90,000. That's all we're gonna say.
Can I add one of $90,000, plus the city will contribute to a private pension for Ricky, the amount equal to the contribution rate the city would have paid to FRS if Ricky participated, less any required obligation to make contributions to FRS because he's not participating. That's basically it.
And in addition to that, he'll be eligible for a COLA increase in October, along with everyone else. He'll have his 5 weeks of vacation time, and
that may be the 5 weeks, but I just asked for clarification. Some of our benefits, especially personal leave or sick and vacation time, are based on your years of service. So his years of service will be, as all his past service will be added. He's not a new employee.
right. So for calculating his vacation time, he'll be calculated as
Based on
recognizing all of his
prior years of service.
So that's the
And that may
motion.
be in here, but I don't.
So that's the motion that's been made and seconded.
Now, question, clarification on the vacation. You said that we're only approving what his accrual rate would be. We're not giving back any vacation.
No, what I said is, he would earn 5 weeks a year of vacation pay.
Right.
But any monies that, where it says,
Any monies he has already paid.
Yeah.
Does he have accrued vacation?
yes, yeah. It says here that the
So
remaining
he-
time that I lost vacation and PTO.
So he gets back the percentages that he wasn't paid.
No.
Just
In
the
other
5
words,
weeks.
he would get 5 weeks of vacation.
His account is credited.
There would be no probationary. Okay. But the remaining time that I lost vacation and PTO, that's not paid. What I didn't pay attention to, because Mike did that page, it speaks about a company truck and being able to take the truck home. I think anyone that's in a position of responsibility, where they're on call for 24/7, they need to take their tools with them so they can be ready to go to work. So I don't know that it has to be part of this agreement. You can make that motion at the next meeting, say any public works director that works for the city should have a vehicle.
I think we need a take home vehicle policy anyway.
We do, don't
We do. I think we need to
Yeah.
have one.
we? Yeah. Because I think certain employees should have the ability to do it, and certain should not.
I go out 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
All that, and I also had there for the laptop, because we have, call before you dig. Anybody here does, any kind of excavating knows, you gotta call before you dig. We have to respond to those. It's all done on my computer, it was in my truck before. I respond, I did all the locates on a day-to-day basis, and that has to be done. That's the law, we have to do that. So I do them myself, or have somebody come help if we gotta dig it up and see it. So that has to be back in the truck with internet capability, because it comes on the internet.
Yeah, I think that's all, like you're saying, I don't know that that needs to be in this agreement. It's just kind of part of the job, part and parcel of the job.
Part of the
But
job.
we could, I mean, we could
I
make
just
it.
want it to be restored back the way I had, my privileges and stuff that I had, so we're not having oh, you can't do this now, you can't do that now. I don't want to have to go through that every single time.
Right,
I don't think that's helping the city at all.
I understand.
I agree. But give us an opportunity to work some of those details out down the line. And I think that we can, because I don't think anybody expects you to work without a vehicle or the tools that you need, and that tool is a computer to be able to do your job. And so if you're on call 24/7, should be able to take home. I just think it's a no-brainer. But to Roger's point, you probably need a policy citywide to talk about.
So, can I ask one question now?
Yeah.
Will I be able to take a truck home when I start to work, so I can have it? Or do I have to wait for you guys to approve it?
As far as I'm concerned, you can.
I think it's
You know,
part
I'm not
of
saying-
the tools that you need to do.
I just want to be clear, I don't want to have somebody come up and go, you can't have that truck at home. I don't want to have this problem.
You just can't use it. I agree that you just can't use it for personal use.
I never have.
I know.
I have my own vehicles, I don't need it.
I have a question, that 90,000, is that more than the police chief makes?
That was gonna be one of my questions too. What is, Chief makes 85? I find that a problem as well.
He thinks 75.
How many things?
I'm sorry.
He's not, I'm sorry, in all due respect, we're not hiring police chiefs, okay?
No, I'm just saying later down the line, we're gonna have to bump them
And
up.
that might be a possibility.
But supervisory positions are,
Well, we have looked, and what were we looking for, what were we going to pay somebody else out there? Okay, and we haven't found other hires. And the one guy that was really good that we could have hired, tell us more answer what
we had more than that, they got dismissed in that one meeting.
But we didn't have anybody that had a C license.
Yeah, we did. They got dismissed as part of service that we had for a while. You're right, it's a market though, I get what you're saying, it's an individual market, there's a market for police chiefs, and there's a market for public works directors, I get what you're saying. But there's also within the business dynamic as well.
We'll have to deal with that.
I think that was going to be a question I asked as well. It seems that this is shaking the whole boat, not just this.
Oh, definitely, we'll have to make some changes.
Any further discussion on this motion? Yes, sir.
What's the effective date?
Oh, what's the effective date of hire is a good question.
Tomorrow. Can you work the weekend? You can, this is part of the deal.
And I make a motion, I will answer the question. I don't ask anybody to start work on Friday.
We need them.
Monday morning, be soon enough.
Well, some pay, what's the city's pay, we go Thursday, the third?
Yeah, do you have a
Friday to
We
Thursday?
just, Tuesday started, this last Tuesday started the next pay period, so it'll be a week and a half.
Was it 2 week?
That's prorated,
But
right?
I mean, based on, because at the fire department, we started on Friday, ended on Thursday. So, this is paid every 2
This is a
weeks.
salary position, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is salary, why do I need penalized?
Oh, yeah. There shouldn't be any penalty, you're right. It's just just adjust to whatever the starting date is. We can make the starting date tomorrow, or we can make the starting date Monday.
When to start,
When to start the clock.
I said Monday.
When do you want to start, Ricky?
Don't you want to come in tomorrow and see what's going on
We
Friday?
wanted to start yesterday.
Yeah.
I'll start whenever you want me to, I'll start tomorrow if you want me to. I don't have a problem, you tell me when.
What does the commission say?
Tomorrow.
Are we ready for the 4th of July?
We're not ready.
You got a lot of work to do, Ricky.
You got a holiday Tuesday.
Come in tomorrow, we'll help you if you need some help, honestly.
Tomorrow's fine, it doesn't matter, it's one day difference.
He's
It doesn't
going
matter.
to, yeah, he's going to need to go, what, Tuesday or Wednesday, the 4th of July?
Yeah.
Tuesday, so.
We do have two backward work rates, and I think one of them can be fixed.
What's that?
I think it can be fixed relatively easy, the Royal Park, because you're gonna have a bunch of people at Royal Park on 4th of July, and you're not gonna be able to go to Royal Park.
I have bowed to peer pressure, and I'll change my motion to where you can start tomorrow. Well, can we vote? I'm missing
No.
dinner at 6 o'clock.
No, one of the things I always do, and I'm gonna do it again, and I'm gonna hate every minute of it. Just kidding, that was a joke. I tend to get a little sarcastic, my apologies. But I always open it up for public comment prior to calling the question. Does anybody want to, and you see where we are, you've heard the discussion. I don't think we need to restate everything, but I'm open to the floor, as I always do. Mr. Russell.
Russell Russ, 287 South Lakeview. Cameron, I would ask the question as to why, the vote was already taken to hire him back. Why did you feel the need to come in here with your comments and opinion?
Okay, I'll explain it, and I can do it pretty quickly. I went on vacation. Yeah, I know, I told you I could be funny sometimes. I went on vacation last month. At the meeting when I wasn't here, We had had discussions about rehiring Rick before, and I had expressed my reservations very generally. When I wasn't here, the commission that was here voted to hire him back. I came back, called a special meeting, and asked that, in looking at it, the motion they made didn't really flesh out any of the details. So I said, okay, well, we said, let's set the meeting for today and make the details and do the deal. And that's why we're here.
Yeah.
But your opening in this meeting was that your opinion to the negativity of, I don't even really want to rehire him, but it seems like we're here. What value was added to the conversation?
That's a reasonable question. The value that's added was, I had generally expressed my reservations. I wanted to fully express them as best I could. I'm not going to say everything I believe, because that's just not appropriate. So I said, I'll say my piece. I said my piece. It took a little while, I grant you, but I said my piece. And like I told Mr. Mullen yesterday, we were talking, sitting in front of Papa's. I got to say it, and I'll say it at one time. But I'm not going to beat him up. I'm not going to say anything negative. This allows me to go forward with a positive mentality. I'm going to go forward positive. I don't look back and say negative stuff all the time. I go forward positive. Ms. Preston.
Yes. I just wanted to take a second to say thank you for moving this along. It's been a long time without a public works director, and you know how I feel. I felt Ricky was a good choice, and so I'm happy we could all agree and finally get our city back on track.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. President.
I just want to go on the record stating that I fully support bringing Ricky Mullins back. I think it's going to be a good step forward for the city. And I don't want to rehash anything, but I just want to say about 16 months ago when U.S. Water came on board, prior to them getting hired for their contract, they were secured to do a study of our system, and they made a study, and they made, I think, 34 recommendations for improvements. And I just wanted to say, kind of, I don't have to have the answer, but I just want to read, could anybody tell me how many of those recommendations from the water study were completed by U.S. Water? One of the important ones, I believe, was, one recommendation was to load test all the fire hydrants, certify them, and paint their caps, indicate their load capacity in the event of being put in service. I haven't seen one of those painted. So hopefully we can move forward and we can implement those changes made in that recommendation to make a lot of money.
That would have been a public works and
Okay. I'm going to go Mr. Burton, and then you.
I'll just say that one of the things that has having worked with Rick for 12 years, the thing that I kind of always pushed him to do was to give some sort of the work that he saves the city, the money that he saves the city is never captured. I can hear you, the word might be saying that you're beating him up, but the fact of the matter is that there's more work that has been done that did not get captured. I remember he used to work on our police cars. I remember, I don't even go to the list of things that he used to do, but I think in going forward, it might help the city, because when you're doing your budget and you're budgeting in, oh, well, Ricky's going to take care of it. No, if he takes care of it, then it should be captured so that you can add that to whatever it is that we're also doing, because then you get a better picture saying if he's not here, then we're going to have to come up with a way to make that work. So that was just my personal explanation to Rick, because I worked with him, I supervised him as a city commissioner for 12 years, and there was never a thing that he didn't do that I would just, would be, that he did do that I was in opposition to.
Okay, the only thing I want to say to Mr. Todd is that one fire hydrant was painted. We took upon ourselves, because we had tried to get the one at our church painted, and they kept saying it was, so we painted it. So one was painted.
You got any more paint?
I can tell you about the tap.
know you had whatever issues and people have things. I worked probably one of the, I may have been one of the fewer Lake Helen people that work pretty closely with him because I'm part of the Saddle Club. And I want to tell you that there was never a time that he didn't make sure something was taken care of. We needed help, and also, he was on call 24 hours a day. And I would go somewhere sometimes at night and I would see him out there working. So we didn't have that with this water company or whatever it was, because you could call and everything. When we have, now that we have Ricky back. What?
We have to vote first.
You never vote.
Put your hands up, we can vote.
I'm just going to say, I never speak out before, but I'm so glad that Ricky is going to be back. I believe that. But I keep sitting here, and I feel like I have to say this, is that everybody has problems, they don't get along, but the world's so bad, we have to remember to forgive each other and love one another like Christ wants us to do. And it would be a great, great city. It's already great, but it could be great. That's it.
Mr. Nada.
Like how it does. I want to say that I'm certainly glad that the commission has made this decision. I too talked to Ricky just to get a feel of what he was like, what he had accomplished, what he felt had happened. I did tell him I did have some concerns regarding the money, which I'm going to bring up. I also let him know that I had talked to some of our constituents, our citizens in the villas, who absolutely just praised him highly and wanted him back. So I think this is a good decision and a move in the right direction. I do have a bit of a problem just from my background. And I did discuss this with Ricky. I agree with everything that you've got in the plan for him. However, I believe that coming in at $85,000 in October, he's going to get a 5% COLA, which would put him at that $90,000, plus the 13% that will be putting into his retirement fund. And remember that this, of course, is the citizens doing this. I also feel that it's only fair that you've got two department heads that are over, obviously, two separate types of departments, but equally in demand. Citizens needs public works, we also need the police department. I believe that if Ricky comes in at $80.95 with a COLA, that the police chief also should be raised. His job is a tough job.
Any other public comment? Thank you, I appreciate it. I always open the floor for that, frustrating as it may be at times. But we always need to be open. So thank you all very much. The question has been called. I think the motion is clear. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? No. Motion carries 3-2. And just for the record, just for the record, as the record matters, the mayor and Zone 3 voted nay. Zone 4 voted nay. But the motion carried. So.
And do we have to call this question start date as well?
No, that was part of the motion. That was, we may not know. Yeah, he did the motion, clearly. Are there any other motions to be made by commissioners? Oh, yeah, we're not done yet. That's a good question, and she's all right. I missed a step, so my bad. Yeah. What? Yeah, let's take a 5-minute recess. We do have one more line item. We'll be back at 7:35.
the old one, they built a big back on it. Forget I got married to the Baptist church right in one of the oldest churches. I wish they had did the towers right in dark gray like they did the others. I got out of here for the first 4 years. I did nothing except work with like out for free. The fellowship hall, the secretary is on the corner of Main Street. They were going to think about plowing that down. It had plywood on all the windows and everything. And I went in there and took that all down and told them to give me some money I could do. We couldn't do that whole thing. 8 months, 9 months, I worked on that.
Ricky! Get in order. Order. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate your patience. We'll reconvene. Hopefully. And yeah, if y'all in the hall can talk softly because the sound does carry in. So we got another item of business, and then I'm going to start it out by saying, Gene, where are you? Oh, there it is. Happy birthday. 73 years young. Yes. Congratulations. All right, so our next item of business is amendment to the city administrator's contract, which will codify what the commission voted on the last regularly scheduled meeting and allow us to move forward with getting working towards a new city administrator. I have two in front of me.
I mentioned the say what?
Yeah, and I was going to say I have two in front of me, and I'll turn it over to the city administrator to explain that.
At the last meeting, you instructed the city attorney to draft one with a date of resignation of November 8th, right? Mm-hmm. And so he did send that to me. I modified it with the second one you have in front of you, which puts it at December 15th. And it also changes the word resign to retire. Other than that, there are no changes between what the city attorney wrote
there was one change, because you changed the date. You said something about the meet, June 28th?
Yeah, so the June 8th, it's now 8th.
Oh, it's 8th, June 8th.
That's what you meant, yeah. Okay. That was the type of my part.
Okay, all right. So that goes back to the first one.
Yeah.
November 8th.
June 8th when they voted to terminate.
Yeah. Irrespective of that. So anyway, I have had one request from somebody in the audience that said they wish you would vote quickly because they want to go home and have dinner.
Was that a little angel on your shoulder?
No, it's a chief assistant in charge of minutes.
I appreciate that, and I don't think this is going to be a complicated discussion or vote. The only thing in question, really, this reflects exactly what we talked about at the last meeting. The only thing in question is the November 8th versus December 15th. In conversation, we talked about December 15th. One of the main reasons for that was it's his anniversary date, and it's a full 3 years. And these are all arbitrary in some ways. You had some rationale behind your November 8th comment.
I don't want the commission to change what we're trying to do.
Do you think this will materially affect that going to December 15th? Do you really?
Yes.
The one thing that I remember at that last meeting, that there were people, including the audience, were very adamant that this get done before the next commission comes in.
Mm-hmm. Well, this is done once we vote on this.
No, I'm saying that this gets done, he's gone before the next commission comes in. That's why they said November 8th, because November 9th, the commission gets sworn in.
Could I ask the city attorney to address that, because we've talked about it.
Okay, yeah. So,
The only thing he and I talked about, the reality is the next commission can come in and rehire. There's nothing y'all can do. You can't fire the next commission. You could have this done, next commission could come in and rehire one like.
The reality is that's not gonna happen, I don't think,
No,
but,
I'm saying the reality, that could happen.
you're right, you can't tie it from future commission's hands.
And I will assure you, I'm trying to say this in a nice way, I don't want to stay beside the line. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I want to be able to walk away.
And this does not alter his ability to resign sooner, nor your ability to terminate him sooner. You still have all those rights, and so.
The only other
I just
thing,
have a problem because it was agreed upon and now it's changed.
I changed it, not you.
I understand, I'm not saying.
well, it's a negotiation, and that's why we're here. So, yeah, he's thrown another offer on the table, and that's what we're doing, is negotiating. And that's all good, there's nothing wrong with that. And I understand your point. It's valid on that, and yours too, is valid on that. You made that November 8th for a reason, and it has validity, both of them do. My concern is, or not concern, another thing that we're gonna have to look at, and maybe it's, I should wait till we vote on this. This doesn't bring us to, one of the things we wanted was having overlap for the sake of the city. And if we don't bring a city administrator in, if we hire a new city administrator right before the next commission, that's kind of what I wanted to avoid in the timing. It's better to let the new commission hire their administrator. Not imperative, but it's helpful. The other option would be to hire an interim administrator. Interims have value, and we could overlap that way. And we may end up keeping that interim, but we could certainly hire, with the understanding this is an interim, and the next commission may want to hire a permanent one. There's some validity in that too. And actually some real benefit to having an interim. Interim can work out some things that are tough and know that he or she doesn't have to win any popularity contests. They're working on issues that need to be ironed out before the next permanent person comes in. So interims serve a purpose. That may be a place we would want to go because we're not really going to have an overlap here. I think I'll accept the motion, I'll hear a motion. What do y'all want to do?
I make a motion that we accept the original agreement.
Second.
With
the November 8th.
clerical changes on changing resignations of retirement.
Changing resignation to retirement on November 8th.
Yep.
I'll second.
Very good.
Oh.
And I third it.
There you go. And now,
Is there any discussion? I mean, we already have it, obviously, but I'll open to the public in just a second. But from the commission first.
I do want to clarify that the word retirement does not mean that there will be a severance.
No.
I just wanted to clarify that for the public. For them.
Either of those two, there is no severance. Only employment.
That's a good question. Any other commission discussion? We'll open it up to the floor. I see Ms. Frasca's hand.
I agree with Commissioner Bishop. It was very clear previously for November 8th. So the fact that this came up again with a different date, it does not appear very well amongst the citizens to see a date change.
I'm going to push back on that immediately. Like I said, this is a negotiation. It was started as such, and it's not at all inappropriate for another date to be positive on it. Not at all inappropriate.
So we negotiated prior to?
We are in a negotiation right now. Yes, sir.
Now I'm thrown out.
One of the things that I guess I need to advise you of, this is an amendment to my contract. And that means I have to agree to it and you have to agree to it.
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct.
So would you like to know my position on the November 8th? That should be obvious since I wrote one for December 15th. But,
sure. Yeah.
I don't like November 8th.
Why?
And I will not sign it.
Why?
Because it's shorter than my normal severance week. I get, on December 15th, I get the same amount of money as if you were to fire me today and go through that process, 20 weeks.
Right.
I'm willing to work that time to go through all the things we have to go through between now and then, including perhaps hiring the assistant. And I'm willing to do that.
I see. I understand what you're saying. In other words, you can say, I'm not gonna sign it, and then we're gonna say, okay, we're gonna terminate you tomorrow, we're gonna pay you the severance, and then you don't get paid at all.
But I get to go home.
Yes.
And I'd rather stay and do the work that I most.
I hear what you're saying. I hear exactly what you're saying.
And I think we get a
And
lot.
I think we're better served by that. I'm assuming that one of the first things that you're going to do is to,
Tomorrow morning.
petition for your replacement.
Yes. Just so you're all afraid, I'm gonna call Dan Harper, who got me in last time. And everybody seemed to be happy with my commissions.
One of the things I sent, I think I sent everybody an email, Oakville's going through the process of hiring a new administrator right now. And Ken Harper's doing that for them. So they're gonna have a lot of applications for people who are.
That's a VCC.
Very similar.
What's that, Volusia County City Managers Association is what he works through.
I'm not sure, whatever it is. But I'm saying there are applications, you know, one most likely will be selected at some point. There are gonna be other people who apply, who wanted to work in Volusia County, who wanted to work for a small city. Comparable, very comparable, so it may be beneficial to get the applications that are filled.
Is that Kelton's group?
What's that?
Is that Kelton's group?
Nick Kelton?
Yes.
May I finish?
Actually, I'm gonna pull this back to the table. I appreciate your question, and it did start the conversation in a different direction. So
Well,
sounds
then
like we
where's
may be
my
changing
man
our
back
minds. So
here?
I'll recognize to the public again, but I'm gonna pull it back to the table for a minute. You've sparked some more conversation. So, having heard now what the city administrator says and what the benefits are, I agree that we should go with the December 15th date.
I'll say that I believe that November 16th is 20 weeks. Not December 15th. So I think maybe there was an error in counting.
No, it's, if you fire me, then we have 2 weeks where you come up with the charges and the laws and the whole thing, so it pushes it back.
Okay, so add 2 weeks to that, and that'll bring us to November 30th. It's still 2 weeks difference. I mean,
How did you calculate it?
Obviously different than she did.
Well, I know.
yeah, I mean, I'm not saying one way or the other, I'm not coming out with the same number.
He was talking about Elon Musk not counting.
I've seen.
You may have, it should be like me something in 4 weeks.
So does that make sense? Is it a difference of opinion or is it a difference in calendar?
I just counted physically. Yeah, this is 1, 2, 3, 4. That's how I came up
What was your
with
starting date?
today.
Today?
Said from today, so that's where I started.
And there is a different process for terminating.
Well, if they terminate without cause, it's 15 days. If you have 15 days, you guys count, and then 20 weeks from the time.
It's still 20 weeks.
Then 20 weeks from the end of the So,
Well, in some ways that's important to know, but as far as negotiation goes, we've been told from the administrator that he's not willing to sign the November 8th November 8th amendment, but he is willing to sign November 15th.
So
Do we blink or do we?
If he doesn't sign on November 8th, does that mean he's quitting?
No, it means we terminate.
Agree for the amendment. In my calculation, it would go to Saturday, December 9th, which is
1 week before.
So, yeah, right, so I think at this point, we're really just nitpicking, 14 days maximum. You're at 20.
But if we don't reach an agreement, to answer your question, I mean, yeah, so you got the 9th, you got the 30th, and you got the 15th, and it's weird, you'd think calendars would be more precise than that. But the reality is, it's a negotiation, and if we fail to come to terms, then it kind of reverts back to the initial termination, and goes to 15 days, and we are paying severance or doing a hearing for cause. So, and/or doing a hearing for cause. I don't know exactly how to say that legally, but you understand what I mean. So that's the best I can answer that question.
Let me say the positive. We're trying to be positive in the transition with my time and my knowledge. There are so many things that I've jotted down, some that are going on right now, that if you were to terminate me without backup, it's just,
No, it's not good.
It's not good at all.
It's not good.
And I really have a great deal of respect for this community.
And I appreciate that. I do appreciate that. But it's a committee decision, so that's where we are. Who wants to make I guess that motion is kind of off the table.
No, it ain't. You got a motion and a second. We were discussing it.
Okay, so we're discussing it. I can do it either way, but I can see doing it either way.
I'm willing to blink, because here's my reality. If clearly we vote this motion in, Lee's not gonna sign it. So we're gonna call another meeting to terminate it, because right now, he has not been terminated, correct? When we back this thing up, we shifted directions and decided to do this. And so, I see one or two things going to happen. Either he quits, we have another meeting to terminate him, or, not he quits. He doesn't sign the addendum, and then we have another meeting to terminate him immediately. And we also, at that meeting, would need to be looking at hiring an interim manager, et cetera, for a period of time while we look for a new city administrator. I do not think that serves the city well. As much as I think we should stick to this November 8th, because it almost looks like bait and switch at the last minute, I have to forget about the optics of it to me and look at, okay, how is this best going to serve the city? Are we better off with Lee here to continue to move things forward that he's been working on? And there are a lot of things that he's been working on that are important. Try to create some overlap with a new city administrator to start working on it soon enough. I don't see any reason why that can't happen. And the other alternative is, as I spoke earlier, he's terminated, and then we're going to find somebody in your interim. And I don't think that serves our citizens the best, to be honest. I don't like it. Once again, sometimes you got to choose the lesser of two evils.
So my belief in it is that any good city staff that has done due diligence in the work that they've done can compensate for any shortcomings that may come about when you terminate the administrator.
If they weren't overloaded and overworked, I would agree with you, Roger. But the question on the table is really, would you prefer to have them here and pay them X, or would you prefer to have them gone and pay them X? You're going to pay them the same amount of money. And I firmly believe that we're going to get a better value here and gone. That's my
Well, I ain't changing my motion, and you
Well,
can
okay.
open it up to the public.
No, you're right. So I'll open it up to the public. We've had discussion from the commission. I saw a hand over here, I believe it was you, Cookie. The floor is yours.
I'm going to tell every one of you something. You do not realize what you're getting into. That gentleman sitting there would know. This happened with another administrator, And you know what? He went down the road and we ended up having nobody to control this town. Volunteers came in and helped run this town for almost 2 or 3 months. Now, I do not want to see that mistake. That gentleman there, nobody's perfect, but he's accomplished a lot now. He has things that is in motion right now that is very, very important to this town. And I think if we could give him to December and ask him to work and see if we can get these projects done, we're almost done, this town will benefit 100%. All I got to say, you're going to make a big mistake of it. Go ahead, Vern.
Mr. Burton?
I spoke to Lee briefly, and he brought something up to me that I think you're going to look into it, is whether or not that there's a contract that says that there's a period of time between when a termination for a city administrator would not be effective or would not be in the best interest of the city. It was actually.
You mean the timing of a transition?
If there's a timing, if there's a timing to which your city administrator should not be on the block because it would not have.
Oh, I know what you said.
Thank you.
Some cities have charters that they've done termination of the city administrator, the X number of months before an election, X number of months after an election, just so it doesn't become a political issue. We don't have, that's not the situation.
That wouldn't happen here because it's always a political issue.
But, unless that person is creating, horrible mess, crimes, whatever, always better to allow the continuation of the city and find a replacement, make a smooth transition.
Continuity.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree.
And plus that gentleman right there, when I talked to him, we're talking about getting another administrator immediately. Start advertising like Rick said, let's get this out. So that gentleman there can work with the new guy, who's what we're working for. But all I do not want to see is the mistake that was made before in this town. And I was involved in it, believe me, it was miserable.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Ms. Weary?
Yes, has there been a, have you guys begun looking for someone, interim, replacement, anything? I mean, this has been a discussion for a couple of weeks now.
I have had a conversation with the city administrator. He has had a conversation with somebody at another, who's currently at another city looking to change. So yes, he's been beating the bushes some, looking for somebody to maybe come in. However the commission would want to do that, it would be up to us. But he's been looking for options for us.
Doesn't the League of Cities provide someone?
Yes, and the Range Warriors, I believe they're called.
Range Riders.
Range Riders, that sounds better, yes. So, yes, they will be contacted perhaps for an interim, that's I think their primary focus. They also help in finding permanent people.
So, were you just saying that he was looking for his own replacement? He's already found his own replacement, possibly?
He has been beating bushes for some options for us. Maybe I should let you answer that.
Well, there's a person who is interested in assisting this city. I don't know that you would like, I don't know if they would like her on a regular basis, but it was somebody that I could work with to make that transition. You may not want her permanently, but it would be a person to assist, and you'd have some continuity in management. If you hadn't found somebody by December 15th, you wouldn't be left high and dry.
But we wouldn't be left high and dry because we have the Range Rovers, the League of Cities, all those.
Well, we might even do.
They're only consultants. They only recommend people. They don't do any work.
Doesn't the league provide? They do not.
No way.
They provide services for candidates.
They provide consultants. Yes.
So I think there was also the gentleman that was going to be hired before you. I don't know if anybody has reached out to him. I can't remember. Do you remember his name?
Tim Day.
Tim Day. Has anyone reached out to him? Might be an option.
Any other discussion from the floor on this motion? Okay, so the motion we have before us is.
I just want to add one more thing about it.
Sure.
This is another reason why the contract that was signed by Mayor Razzler and Lee for his employment is a piss poor contract as far as benefiting the city, because there's so much in there that he could hold over our head so that we can't get rid of him. It is ridiculous. That contract should never
What am I
have
holding over your head? I volunteered
right there.
to work for you instead of going home and enjoying life.
Right there, you're not willing to sign, you're not willing to sign November 8th.
Didn't the whole commission vote on the contract?
We actually know, we kind of did not, because there was some changes we wanted in it that never got put into the contract.
All the changes are in there.
Because we wanted a termination date on that contract, and it was not put in.
It wasn't ultimately agreed to. And that language came from the range riders, ICNA, who y'all recommended. And that agreement was approved. It did have a probationary period.
And it is the contract that's in force. And
I know it's the one that's in force, but it's.
And maybe the next contract needs to be different, and I get that.
It's definitely a contract that ties our hands and handcuffs us so much that we can't do anything about it.
That's kind of the point of contract.
Seriously, Roger, you can't dictate a contract. You can't tell them, Lee, this is your contract, or anyone, this is your contract, take or leave it.
I know you can't dictate that, but most contracts have a deadline time. They're not a continuation
No,
forever.
you know what those contracts have, Lee?
Yes.
Roger? They will have 20 weeks ahead of time, you gotta renew it, or it's terminated without cause, and you pay severance to the person leaves. You're not gonna get out of severance without having a form cause.
I know that.
Then stop nitpicking a contract right now. We can talk about it in detail. You don't sit here and blast me or whoever else 2 years later. I'm not gonna stand for that.
So what we have before us, and again, commissioners can comment, the motion we have before us is for the November 8th amendment, as being the last date. It's been stated that that's not acceptable, but that is the motion before us. Commissioner Eckert has said that he's not willing to withdraw that motion, so we have to call the question. I believe, in my discussion on whether or not we vote for or against it, I believe we should vote against it so that we can have another motion for the December 15th amendment. That's my discussion. It is a vote of the commission. So I will now call the question. All in favor of the motion for the November 8th contract, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. No. Motion fails. So the floor is open for another motion.
I'll make a motion to accept December 15th contract. Amendment.
Got a second? Don't have a second?
I'll second it.
A motion and a second to accept the amendment with the December 15th date that we have before us. Any discussion on that motion? I know we've discussed it, but you gotta open the floor. Any discussion from commissioners? Any discussion from the floor? Hearing none, I've heard a call for a question. Without any further ado, all in favor of this amendment with the December 15th vote, say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no.
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 So it's 3-2. For the record, Commissioner Eckert and Commissioner Bishop voted no, the others voted yes. So the motion carries.
And for the record, I accept the
And
thank you.
And I appreciate your accepting of the amendment. And I appreciate the fact that you're willing to work for us for the next 20 months rather than weeks. Sorry. Good catch. I appreciate your being willing to work for us, I really do. It's not an easy thing, and I appreciate your integrity.
So are we actively looking or posting a job description out there?
First thing tomorrow morning.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And at the July meeting, are we being presented with the candidate you've already spoken with?
Well, according to,
Or no?
It's up to you if you want to.
according to Scott.
I'm going to the
O'Keefe-
Florida City Managers Association.
Well, what Scott was saying is O'Keefe's already looking in this, and they're producing a slate of candidates for O'Keefe, which is a similar city to us, so.
We might be
We may be
able to
lucky
scavenge.
and just be quicker.
This is our first up as well, so he may make the same suggestion.
And today, there is an email from Nancy, Wilson, about 10 days. We do have that.
So we have a few options, and those can be communicated to the,
Will it be presented at the July meeting?
That's good.
Great.
all righty. Is there any further business to be performed at this meeting?
You're just saying, I worked up employment contract for Ricky while y'all were talking, and so, sat here and worked on it with him, I'll report it to you and Lee for reviewing comments, you know, I'll send it to Ricky for final review, so it should be ready tomorrow morning.
Well, I was gonna say, do I need to have authority voted on for me to sign and execute that contract?
I think I was fine with y'all approving that.
Okay, so I'll just sign that contract when
I still get my insurance. Remember?
Oh, you can have your insurance.
It's not a contract employee, it's just a.
You're still an employee, you're not an independent contractor.
Okay.
Still an employee.
Cameron, you didn't set another workshop time for the next budget hearing.
No, the next meeting will be our regular commission meeting, or do we need to have a budget workshop in between? No, the next meeting will be the regularly scheduled commission meeting on the 13th. Thank you.
And you'll set that workshop date at that meeting?
Yes. So have it in mind, or maybe you can talk with staff about what dates would work. Have that ironed out going in. Any further business? Hearing none, we adjourn.